All right, y'all. I just got home. Just am walking in the door, hanging up my bag. And I'm sitting there on the drive back from volunteering with these old folks with dementia, who are hilarious, by the way. If you hear rustling and bustling, I gotta get myself some coffee. I've been taking my Adderall pretty regularly again, by the way. And it could be a million other things too, so I'm not gonna blame it on this, but I've been having horrible fucking migraines. And I have vestibular migraines, which is basically weird amounts of motion sickness and shit. And I often am feeling very foggy and unbalanced. I have really poor balance. And I'm getting all that checked out. I'm supposed to be going to a neurologist here soon. But anyway, headaches, horrible fucking migraines. And I never, ever, ever have had painful, almost to the touch type migraines. Side note, I know. But anyway, I digress. What I wanted to say was, let me get my glass from the other room. All right. I'm on the drive home, and I can't help but get pissed off, and I don't want to be a pissed off person anymore. And I've done a really good job of honing in on why I get angry and what's going on, and taking accountability. In the sense of, you're not supposed to pass on the right, you're supposed to pass on the left, but sometimes you just end up doing that because someone's going really slow. But I digress into my point. People don't follow the rules. If you guys are familiar with Seinfeld, I'll get a hit of coffee. George Costanza in season 2, episode something called The Chinese Restaurant. He's trying to get on the phone. This is back fucking landline type phones, and all these things are happening socially, and he screams, we're living in a society. And we are living in a society, but there is, and this has always been it, okay? This can go back all the way. I've been reading the Bible, I've mentioned on here before, and reading the things about the kings and shit like this. Assholes have been around since the beginning of time, okay? Even, look, Adam and Eve, they fucked up or whatever. But I am getting to the point where I don't know. I kind of am thinking that I have to be disassociated, or I have to lessen my expectations of others because no one is able to achieve them. Now, I don't think that's what is going to help this world, is lessening and lessening and lessening our expectations for people. You shouldn't have crazy random expectations for strangers, but having common sense and dignity, those are the things that are the bare minimum, and people don't have them. And then I just have to sit and eat it. And this is something I struggled a lot with when I'm still young. I hate when I say that because I know people can't stand it, but when I was 18, 19, 20, especially when I still drank and shit, I would get so mad because there's grown people around me not doing the right thing. And I'm young and I'm doing what would, you could take a poll and I would be doing the right thing compared to what they're doing or what others are doing. And, traffic, if the lane's ending, you need to merge over. People don't merge. People don't do anything. Nobody does shit. Nothing at all. They are living their own separate lives. Sorry, I'm checking out my cats because I just walked in. They're living their own separate lives from society. And that doesn't work when you have to be out in public. There's so many different routes that I could take with this conversation. I'm going to try and stay on track. You guys know that I'm really good at that. I'm sitting here in my car. I sit here if I see some dumb video on my phone, but mostly in my car, at the grocery store, shit like this. And I've talked about stuff like this a million times, but I'm watching people just not follow the rules. I'm watching, and that's the thing. This is where I was going to go with this. I am all for societal norms being banished, okay, and not being taken seriously. There's a couple that I think should still stand, and that's, having manners, having respect for others, and dignity, and also all the shit that I just said before. What did I... common sense and decent morals, But when it comes to like societal expectations, I'm all against that for the most part. Like I've grown out my armpits from time to time because I just fucking feel like it. I don't wear a bra because I don't feel like it. And there's also science behind those things, at least the bra thing. The way that I eat is very whole food, like whole plant, not plant. Oh my God, I used to be vegan. Worst thing that you could ever do for your body. But I like whole foods basically, and mainly meat focused after being a vegan for 8 years. So it's like I do things the opposite way, right? I do things very differently than society would like me to and like others to. It still has, millions conform to it, right? But I think there's outliers out there. So I'm not saying we all need to fit and conform into society that actually doesn't give a fuck about us and doesn't want the best for our well-being. I'm just saying we need to figure out a way to live in unison. And I'm sick of everybody living in their own fucking world while I walk around with anxiety and shame and consistently like apologizing or on guard for anything that could be happening, and even like paranoia. Now, I am not here to say that that's anybody's fault, or that anybody should be doing that. Like, you shouldn't have to be anxious and upset or weirded out in public. Granted, you don't have to be, but it's pretty easy to be because people suck. But I have a level of humility. There's one of the things I actually thought about getting tattoos is in the Bible, and it's humility comes before honor. Being able not just to like laugh at yourself, but being able to sit with yourself, be humble with yourself, give yourself a healthy amount of discipline and accountability, and also know how to set boundaries. That is something that people don't have. So now we're walking around and there's individuals by the plenty that believe that nothing is their fault. And this, of course, is narcissism. I think narcissism has obviously ran rampant and laid dormant in many generations, mostly Boomer and Gen X, and even before then, obviously. But I think there's a new wave of narcissism where I know a lot of people are saying it's entitlement, right? And it's not, it's from all generations. It's throughout every single generation. So I'm not pinpointing anybody. But because of this, consumerism and easy access to pleasure, we have ruined our ability to face discomfort with grace. And now, people are finding, their comfy spots everywhere, if this makes sense. So, like, I'm thinking of driving and I'm thinking of seeing people on their phones. I see people scrolling on their fucking phones and while they're driving. And it's like, okay, I don't care if you have a death wish. I don't care. But there's a million other people on the road right now. There's hundreds and hundreds of other people. There's people that have just gotten their license. There's old people. There's families traveling. And you are actively choosing to display the fact that you don't care about anybody but yourself. And that type of display happens all the time. Like, I see it with, I was at Walmart yesterday, and usually when I'm there, I put back more carts than I took, right? I took one cart, I put back two, because I get it that it's somebody's job to come and wrangle them all up, but people leave them all through the parking lot. And I even was at a different Walmart. This was months ago, like before I think like real winter hit. And the mom of this guy, they were somewhat trashy, like white trash, which no judgment, don't care. Just trying to paint a picture. The mom was a little bit heavier. The dude kind of looked like methy, you know what I mean? And he just threw the cart right up on the curb, like on the, what do they call those? Like basically like decor type shit, but like there's mulch and flowers and stuff like that. Kind of like a barricade throughout the parking lots, you know. And then his mom even said, you know, the cart thing's right there. And I just watched that whole thing. And it actually was probably more work for him to do what he did than to just put his shit back. I did a whole reel talking about foreigners and how, you know, of course, they obviously don't assimilate. And not all of them. A lot of them do. Some of them do. I'll say some of them do. But they don't. They're like learning our bad behavior, but they're already bringing to the table mixed shit from other places that doesn't work here. So they're learning our bad, shitty American behavior, but then they're also bringing their shit. Like, everybody does this. It isn't just somebody like that's foreign, but like a lot of them like walking around on their phones. This is another thing, walking around on your phone in the middle of a store. And it's, again, not just foreigners. Sometimes it is. And a lot of times you can tell how they're doing it. Does that make sense? Like FaceTiming someone in a different fucking country and speaking really loudly in your other language and disrupting everybody's shopping experience. But a black chick who was looking for shoes for her daughter was also at DSW like 2 months ago, screaming and being ghetto as hell in front of all these children on her phone. But so it doesn't matter about race necessarily. I could get into that, but I won't because it's not necessary. But it's wild that this is the world that we live in. We live in a world where people like me, who I'm sure there's a lot of you out there, walk around with anxiety of upsetting somebody, of a healthy amount of shame. You know, we have a healthy amount of shame, how we don't want to do fucked up shit, like parking in a curbside pickup spot when you're not curbside pickup. Like, I know it sounds like I'm a stickler for the rules. I'm really not. I think most rules can go to hell. Genuinely, especially since a lot of people don't follow them. And some of the biggest people in this world who have the most money and success and fame aren't rule followers. So I'm not over here trying to preach rules and be a square. I'm just saying there's a line. There's a line and everybody's crossing it. I'm not any better, okay? I'm not saying that I'm sitting here on my pedestal and that I'm perfect. But after I do something that I know is wrong, like if I cut somebody off in traffic, or if I almost hit somebody in the parking lot, if I parked at a 15-minute parking spot, quick trip parking spot, but at Meijer, and I had cans to take back, and I'm like, oh, I bet this doesn't look like I'm going to be 15 minutes because I have to take these cans back and then pick out what I need. It's like, I'm over here worried about that, and I didn't go to the pharmacy while I was in there. I went to the drive-thru so I could be out in 15 minutes. But there's people that park and handicap shit, and they have no placard or anything. So it's like, it's kind of like, it's no good deed goes unpunished. No good deed goes unpunished. And I'm confused and weirded out by the fact that I do a lot of good things, not for clout or credit or anything, because I don't really talk about them. It's not something, it's the right thing to do. And I'm in a world where people are succeeding by doing the wrong things. And this is a tale as old as time. I'm aware of that. But it just gets very discouraging. Very discouraging. And to see, you know, people who don't even speak English driving Mercedes and fucking BMWs and shit. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, there's so many aspects, right? I've given a lot of examples, and I'm not over here just shitting on foreigners, even though I think we obviously have we had a border problem. Still probably do. But more so, we have an assimilation problem. Now, I don't know. I was like, I think I'm going to record. And I wasn't even feeling like too motivated to record, but I'm like, I think I need to just say this, even if it doesn't matter and if it doesn't make sense, whatever. I'm always worried that I don't make sense. I had Kyle listen to that last podcast that I put out, and it did make sense. He said it made sense, but I mean, I'm all over the place most of the time, and I have a thought, then I get another thought, then I get another, and I'm like, I want to talk about all of them, but I don't know, like, then I forget the one that I had just thought. It's it's all over. I'm all over the place. But yeah, I don't know. I'm tired of being a fucking rule follower, and I'm not asking for a reward or for praise. I'm just tired of being a rule follower and not having it get me anywhere. I think it finally is. We have got some momentum with shit going in our lives and our personal lives and stuff. So I'm really excited for that. But it really is discouraging, you know, and this is the world that we live in. And I don't know. I hate that I'm young and there's people that are older than me that are so emotionally unintelligent. You know, I don't like that people who don't speak English are driving better cars than me and then not following the road rules. I just don't like that. I don't like when I was in Florida and someone asked me at the job that I had down there if I spoke Spanish. I said no, and then they looked disappointed at me. It's like, we're missing the point here. We're really missing the mark of common sense. It's like, and again, this isn't, I'm just giving examples that are popping in my head. I could give non-racial, non-foreign type examples, but it's just like, these are just what's kind of rolling off my tongue. But, and I guess maybe I'm being a little bit biased because one of the cars that was pissing me off on the fucking road today was this Arab dude who, there was 3 of them in the one, it was like a cargo truck or whatever. So it was like they were on a bench seat, and he was all over. He never used a blinker. He almost got ran off the road because he didn't see that the lane ended. He cut me off when I was pulling up to a light. And then when he turned right, he crossed over 2 lanes of traffic to get all the way to the other side to get into the left turn lane. So it's just like, you know, and then a lot of them will sit on their phones when they drive, and that's everybody. It's not just an Arab dude, that's everybody. But I can't even do it. I can't even sit on my phone or look at my phone when I'm driving because I'm too distracted. Like I can't do that, you know? And then if you practice, then it's like if you practice any sort of defensive driving, or if you set a boundary while driving, maybe you don't let somebody in or whatever, then people look at you like you're crazy. So then now doing the right thing almost makes you look crazy. And that's where I kind of get into like the foreign thing where it's like, they don't know what's going on here. They've taken over. I mean, look at fucking Dearborn, Michigan and shit like this. And then the Somali shit out in Minnesota, whatever the fuck. But it's like, you're making it so that the shit we've been doing forever is almost abnormal because now there's big groups of minorities coming in and doing shit differently, but it's in America and on U.S. turf. So it's weird. And that can also go for families. Like, and how I talk about trauma on here all the time. It's like, I'm doing things different, but I'm going to be looked at weird, even though I'm the one that's actually making the healthy choice, right? So there's a non-racial foreign type of example. But it's like, I'm kind of fucking tired of being looked at as though I'm weird and I'm wrong, which I've gotten used to for the most part, because I want to set boundaries with my family, or talk about my experience with my family, or not shave my fucking armpits, or not wear a bra, or, you know, or wear a certain pair of shorts. I'm sorry, I'm distracted because I have a huge fucking cut on my hand and I never even noticed it. It's like ginormous. Wow. But yeah, I'm tired of being looked at like I'm the weird one, like I'm the fucking problem, you know, and I don't care. That's the thing. Clearly I care, there's a little bit, and that could be a little bit of trauma, a little bit of young Nina, a little bit of pettiness maybe that I need to deal with, right? Accountability, I can take it. But yeah, I'm tired of common sense being diminished into nothing, and then anarchy that isn't even like healthy anarchy is taking place. I'm tired of it. And I'm also, you know, like even talking about trauma and stuff, it's like, I hate the fact that my trauma has made me weaker in certain ways. You know, I'm mad that it is hard for me to stand up for myself, or, you know, there's, I could go on and on and on and on, but I think my channel's kind of morphed into like talking about trauma to relating it back to like present day shit. So like these lessons that I'm learning, as I heal and move through my shit, I kind of am relating them to like everyday occurrences and shit and what's going on in the world, which I think is kind of a cool little switch because and I guess I'll say this on here, and I already kind of made a post on here as well. about this, but like there's a lot of things I said in the past on my podcast where I was very unhealed and very angry about a lot in my family, and honestly I still am. There's a lot that I'm still really upset about, but I used my podcast and this platform as a way to finally say what needed to be said and have somebody hear it and make it feel real for me. So it wasn't even really for entertainment. It wasn't really for anybody. It was more so a test to see if I could challenge myself in order to believe in things that I knew to be true. Now, there's a couple things that have been brought to my attention that maybe they didn't happen the way that I had mentioned that they happened on here or whatever. And, you know, there's really no proof and there's no way of figuring out what those things, like what actually happened. Like in regards to abuse and sexual abuse and stuff like that. But I guess that was just like a little disclaimer and like a little update on the channel. But I'm not mad that I posted any of those videos or anything. I did look back at some of them and I was listening and I'm like, damn, I sound so fucking unhealed. Now I sound so much calmer. It's crazy. But I also think that's amazing that like I can go back and look at this little platform that I've created and I can see that I have grown so much as a human being, as a woman, and as somebody who's been through the ringer. And you can hear it in my voice. And I think that that's so cool. So yeah, there's some crazy shit on here and some shit that maybe is a little embarrassing or a little cringe, but what person that's on YouTube doesn't have old videos that like they think are cringy or weird? You know what I mean? So, and that's just what life is now, is that's what the social media space is now. Is like everybody has old shit that they don't necessarily subscribe to anymore. And by that, I mean just like my behavior and handling things. But at the same time, I came on here to vent. That was what I did. I don't have anybody. You know, I've rekindled a relationship with my grandmother, which is awesome. And actually we've been talking a lot about some of these things that have happened to me and things that I didn't even know about my family. And that has been extremely validating and super great. So shout out to my grandma, wonderful lady. So good to see her. But yeah, and then there's been some other things that I've just kind of realized from experiences that I've had as of late and shit. Excuse me. But yeah, I guess that was just like a little update on the channel. What is this? Oh, okay. It looks like somebody was coming up on this woman outside of my house and like making sure she's okay. Oh, that coffee's hitting. I tell you what. But yeah, a little update on the channel and kind of more. I want to do something more with this. I really do. I don't know necessarily how to start. I actually really thought about doing vlogs. I thought that would be fun. Just because sometimes I'll have like moments that I feel like are important to share with other people, not because I'm special, but because like I've said in like what's in the bio of this channel is like, I'm here to help people. I truly believe that's what I was brought here to do. And as I, you know, find God more and more and rely on him more and more, and try and understand what the fuck I'm here to do. I think that's one of the main things is I think I've always been here to make people think. Think even just through the way I was conceived and how I'm here, you know, being the only black person in my family, being the first girl in a little while in my family, being someone who I didn't stay just in a smaller country town. I kind of had both of the best of both worlds, I guess. And outspoken, you know, and also this type of generation. I'm Gen Z, so this is an outspoken generation, of course. So, I think that's why I was brought here. I'm here to make people think. I'm here to make people question. I'm here to be questioned. I'm here to be challenged. And I think through my life experiences and through speaking with people and analyzing life the way that I do, I'm here to share that. And I thank y'all for listening. And I also am excited to see what else I do with this channel, because I whether it be vlogs, whether it be, I haven't shared poetry in a minute. I still have some, obviously. I still am writing some because it's a never-ending work. Speaking of which, I can't find my damn notebook. I put it somewhere because I took it out of my purse yesterday when I went into the store, but now I have no idea where it is. I'd like to know where my damn notebook is, but I've got poetry I can share on here if you guys are interested. To actually help me practice reading it out loud as well, too, is always good. But yeah, I don't know what kind of direction I want to go in. That's why I think the graphic for this podcast is so perfect, because it's just my fucking loud mouth and then, just chaos. But yeah, that was just what I was thinking earlier, going back to like the rule following and society. It's like, we're not living in that anymore. And we don't even rely on neighbors. We don't even talk to neighbors. Like I'm sitting in my house and I know where each house is out there. And it's like, I don't talk to any of these people. And that is so weird to me because it's just so foreign. Like, what if your fucking house catches fire or some shit when you're not home? Like, wouldn't you like your neighbor to call you? Like, isn't that like, but I think that I genuinely do believe that it is a design. And I've talked about this, I've pretty much on probably all my podcasts, a little bit on each, but it's like, we've been taught to isolate, and then deal with the shit that the government and that the world throws our way. And it's like, and I mentioned this on the last pod, where they want us to feel depressed and chaotic and confused and weirded out. That's how they want us to feel. And big part of what I think COVID was and everything was the isolation and fucking with our heads, because what happens with that? You're isolated, you get depressed, this, that. Okay, therapy goes up, so these doctors are making money. Then Big Pharma can start doling out pills or whatever. And we can have people that don't trust their neighbor, don't speak to their neighbor, so then people aren't connecting and there can't be any rebellion. And at this point, I think because of that endless pleasure that we're allowed to have, whether it be drugs, weed being legal, booze, porn, fucking just being on your phone, the dopamine that will hit you with, whatever, it's isolated us to where we are just sitting in our little comfort, cozy homes, allowing everything to happen to us instead of choosing what we would like to happen to us. Granted, there's a line there, right? Like, you aren't in control of everything. You can't be. That's impossible. But they've diminished our autonomy and told us basically that wasn't really necessary. Whole Rockefeller thing that I've talked about on here before, workers not thinkers, that shit started so long ago. The breaking up of families, all this shit. So, and yeah, I think it's disgusting, and I think it's weird. Like, there's these kids across the street, and I think it's because a lot of kids are pretty outgoing, like they'll say hi. Like, oh my God, one of the neighbors down the street, he yelled hi. He must be like 3 or 4. It's so cute. Most of them say something, or they at least look at you with curiosity or just being kids, and they don't do any of that. And they go outside and play and everything, but I just find it so weird that they won't even acknowledge that another person is like on the sidewalk with them. But they will with certain people, so I don't know. Like, I never play the race card. You guys know that I'm not for that. I'm a pretty conservative, half black woman, which I also found out, and this might make some sense spiritually or for you guys to think about, but my grandma told me that it's all Irish on my mom's side. Like, we're just full Irish. So I'm half Irish and then half black, and I think that's kind of cool. That now I know more, just a little bit more, and I think that's kind of nice. It's like split down the middle, so I'm actually less of a mutt than Kyle is. I don't know what kind of black my dad is, like on that side, but I'd like to do one of those tests, but I just think it's too weird, so I'm not going to do it. But I'm a pretty conservative, which I don't even know what that means, right? Because all these titles have been made up, the divisions on purpose, I'm a very independent thinker, but I guess some of my thoughts do lean towards being conservative, and I'm black, so I don't ever play that race card, but sometimes I do wonder if it, because I am in a pretty heavily like white-ish dominant neighborhood, white-ish, pretty much white. There's like, I think Arab family across the street, and then that's it. And there's like, I've seen 2 black people. There's some Mexican people like streets and streets away, but on this street, like I'm pretty much the only black person. So, I think that's just like a primal thing that I notice. It's not like a race thing, because I've been around white people my whole life, and honestly sometimes tend to like it more. We got that black fatigue, you know what I'm saying? But there's some cool ass black people out there, and I've actually met quite a few up here in different areas, so that's been neat. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's weird that neighbors don't speak to each other. I think it's weird that kids aren't curious. Oh, there's Albanians down there too, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I think it's wrong. I think it's not who we're supposed to be. We are primal pack animals, you know, we're tribal, and we aren't working like that anymore. And it's gonna fuck us up. It's gonna fuck us up so bad, and it already has, for sure. It's sad to watch, and it's a sad thing to be a part of, especially as someone who's just coming up, you know, as an adult, and then to be alone. It's hard to be alone in this world, and it always has been, but I think right now, like, holy shit, it's difficult. And I think there's a lot of people out there that would say, you know, you chose this, and I'm aware of what I chose. I just think life shouldn't get so bad that you don't have a choice but to leave your family, you know what I mean? Or set boundaries, or become distant, or gray rock, or whatever you want to call it. It shouldn't be that way, but I think generational trauma, from what I've been listening to some stories and stuff from my grandma, and it's like, oh wow, like it roots itself in your body, in your mind, in your soul, in your organs. I'm a true believer in that. And it's crazy how it gets passed down. It's crazy how it manifests. It's just like genes. Oh, I've got brown eyes, I've got blue eyes, whatever the fuck it is. You got this type of hair, these freckles, whatever. It's like, man, how fucking wild that it works just like that. And if you don't stop it, it's going to keep going and keep going and keep going. And then I also just notice, kind of going off like what I began this pod about, where it's like, you know, there are so many people that are unconscious spiritually, you know, so many people that are so disconnected from their body. That's something I've been working on, because I can try and be as logical and analytical as possible about my trauma. I can do that, and I've done it. It doesn't do anything. And that's kind of a hard truth, is I know why I am the way that I am. I'm extremely self-aware, and that's through immense trauma and abuse that I've dealt with, and then also just what I knew I didn't want to be. So I'm very self-aware. I'm a very self-aware person, which is fucking hell most of the time. So I know what all my problems are. I have good inklings and good data to prove why I think my mom and my father and my family are the way that they are. Granted, that could always be fact-checked and shit, and that's kind of what I'm doing with my grandma. But it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, when I'm anxious or when I feel weird, that it's my body that I have to respond to, if that makes sense. Your body holds on to that shit. So it doesn't matter how much you analyze everything that you've been through and what you're going through and what you should be doing or what someone's behavior was. You have to figure out why your body is still responding the way that it is in certain situations. And if it's making you uncomfortable, you have to fix that. So it's like just working on your nervous system and shit. And that's why, like, I'm very educated on, you know, emotional intelligence. I obviously always will have more and more work to do, because we're never finished. We're never complete. But knowing that, like, even just sitting with myself sometimes in the quiet, just sitting is like, I'm itchy, you know, like I'm uncomfortable. And it's like, I shouldn't be uncomfortable. I am the only vessel I will ever have. I am the only person who will always, always, always have my best interests at heart, or should have my best interests at heart. I am the only person that knows how to take care of me. And I know how to. I just need to dig around a little bit within myself and figure out, what buttons need to be pressed, what cords need to be untangled, thinking of it as like a machine. And because it's all connected. Your brain, your body, a lot of physical ailments are totally mental. I'm a big believer in that. When your soul and when your spirit are fucked up, you're going to be fucked up. That's just a given. I mean, then your behavior is going to reflect that. Your behavior, your health, your mental health, all of that's going to reflect how your spirit and your soul is. A lot of it is energy. It really is that. And I'm not just saying that to be some hippy dippy chick. It truly is. And I think there's more and more shit coming out about that. And I think it's crazy that we're batteries. Our bodies are batteries. We're machines. Our rhythms in our bodies are meant for, they are put this way for a reason. God created them in this way for a reason. Just like childbirth. That's like one of my best examples, not to mention just like health in general, but like childbirth. We have tampered and interfered so much with nature. Just like kind of how I mentioned, like we're pack animals, we're primal, we're tribal. We've interfered with our actual natural instincts that this is why we're having problems. This is why there's problems. I do believe that if we left a lot of pregnant women alone and didn't treat pregnancy as though you're ill or that you can't be doing certain things, because that's not what our ancestors did. They just fucking lived and then they gave birth and followed your bodies instead of being, laid up in a hospital bed on your back, which nobody births that way. No other animal births that way. Given the artificial hormones that your body will already produce, if you give it the right amount of time, setting these certain times for, this is, you're this many weeks pregnant, this means this means that, this means this, having it all laid out, it doesn't work because not everybody is the same. Nobody is. Literally nobody is. So, I feel like that's a good analogy and a good example where it's like we need to stop interfering with what our bodies actually need. And I know it's not going to go completely away because we've devolved as a species. We have things that do make life easier, that do make life better, that can be awesome, but we abuse them just like any other animal probably would. Just like if I left kibble out all day, my cats would get fat because it's there. You abuse the pleasure that we are given and that we've been tricked into believing is like optional when really it ends up being addictive. And anybody would do that, any animal, I mean. But it's just odd. I think it's crazy. I think it's really, really watching society, watching myself, watching the world, and analyzing and sitting with myself and thinking, it's everything's so unnatural. It pisses me off, and I wish that we would stop interfering and I wish that we would stop putting all these rules, regulations, codes, time limits, expectations, and all of this, and just live like a human being, but it's so calculated, this type of abuse, and from the government and in the world, this type of control is so calculated that it's almost impossible to get out of it. And that's what's scary to me. That's what's scary. It's like and this is like, and I always get so like insecure about saying this, and this will probably be like the last thing I say before I go. But, I get insecure about saying that I haven't worked for the past year, because I haven't. And that doesn't mean that I haven't made any money. That doesn't mean that I haven't been really busy. That doesn't mean that I haven't kept myself accountable for my body, my mental, and helping my partner. I just am not working a standard job. And I think that when you don't work a standard job, to most people, they don't get it. And you are not doing what we're told we were supposed to do. So you in turn are lazy, bad, or not doing what you're supposed to be. And I find that crazy because I've still made money. I've been selling a lot of stuff on resale shit. I cook, I clean, I sweep, I dust, I scrub, I take care of my body and my mental and my partner. And that is work. It is work. and, take care of, been mowing since the weather's gotten warm. Like, I'm doing all the shit and trying to lighten the load of the person that's bringing home the income. And I also don't believe in a system where I'm not saying I'm never going to go get another job. That's not true. But I kind of almost feel like, fuck, I got this taste of freedom. So thinking about like going to work at like a CVS or waiting tables, not that there's anything wrong with that. In standing there for 8 hours and doing that shit, on top of the fact that, also keep in mind, I've had 3 surgeries, one of which did not work. So I actually have an appointment for my knee coming up because my knee is like almost unbearable. I have to sleep with a pillow between my legs. Otherwise, like, I'm fucked. Even then, I'm still fucked. I can't move it in the morning. So I'm also like partially disabled, along with like my vestibular shit with my brain fog and everything. So it's like, and then everybody's unconscious. So they're just doing all these things, working, cleaning, and not actually taking time to process why they're doing them. I understand a lot of people don't have a choice. Okay. Like, you have to make money, you have to support your family and yourself. I get it. I understand that I'm in a decently privileged situation, but we're just unconsciously going about life, working a job we don't even really like, and then coming home, sitting down, watching TV, and then doing it all again. And it's like, you're not even living. You are a robot. You're exactly what they wanted you to be. And I don't want that. I also don't subscribe to the fact that, oh, yep, go to college. Everybody go to college. Okay, nobody can even do anything with their degrees anymore. Nobody can even get a job. And then that's just so you can have 2 people that have to pay back student loans. And then you can have 2 people that are working a job. And nobody's watching the kids, so then the government can raise the children to become workers and not thinkers. And we've demonized almost the stay-at-home moms. They're making a comeback, though, and that's what I plan to be. We're demonizing them, saying that they don't do shit, when being a mom is like a full-time, multiple job. And then, we can just tax you. We can tax 2 people in the home now instead of just 1. And then all these jobs that are paying minimum wage, it's like, that's where you start out at. It's like I've seen these signs, pay up to $6.25 an hour. Okay, so take away the taxes and everything that we have to take out of our check. And then if you offer health insurance or health, whatever the fuck, health insurance or dental or vision, okay, we got to have that taken out. So then you're making like $13 an hour. So I'm going to go stand somewhere for 8 hours to make $13, $14 an hour, which is not going to do anything. It's not going to get us out of the rut that we're in at all. And also, my partner, Kyle, he would have been doing all of this by himself anyway. And then I can help him on all the other shit. We're both not working jobs that we hate, right? He enjoys his job for the most part. But now it's like, okay, cool. We have one person who's at home, who's not miserable and drained from a pointless job. So I can do the things that need to be done to help us catch up or whatever. So I always get so insecure about it, and because of the judgment from society and everything. And it's like, it's so crazy how so many people are unconscious. And of course, like I said, I definitely would be getting another job. I was going to go apply at this one place, but he didn't want me to because it was a labor job and he didn't want me around a whole bunch of dudes. But it's like, I can't work a job anymore that's like mundane and stupid. I just can't do it. I don't know. So we're kind of creating our own thing right now, and I'm excited for it. And once things start moving the way that they're supposed to, and I'm going to be really busy with that, then I will definitely share with you guys what we've been up to. But yeah, I also just prepping myself to get ready. Rest is so important. Nobody rests. Everybody eats like shit. And how calculated does this all seem, huh? It's like, we're going to work you like dogs and feed you shitty food because that's what's easy, right? A lot of people, labor jobs, even people that work in hospitals, look at what they feed the old people in the hospitals. Even the shit that we feed the people at the dementia daycare that I volunteer at, it's all sugar. It's all carbs. Dementia is diabetes of the brain. And we're giving these people more and more carbs. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. So it's like, we're going to make unhealthy food easily available and keep you so busy that that's usually your only choice unless you really set a boundary and make that a priority. But then when you do make that a priority, then you're judged or looked at weird. It's bizarre. It really is. And then I know you're probably going to be sick, tired, mentally drained, or unhealthy. So while you and your wife are working and having both of those things happen to you, all of those things happen to you, your kids are not being looked at all and not given the attention that they need. And then you guys, all of you will end up on some sort of medication for pain, for mental anguish, for depression, whatever the fuck it is. You're going to end up on it. So we can just make all the money off of you because you fall into our system. And I think that's crazy. And I really don't think that there's another way to look at it. Of course, I understand you have to do what you have to do. I get that. But it's so hard to get out of it once you're in it, you know? And now that I've had this taste of freedom that my partner has allotted to me, I would only want to work for like a local company or for ourselves, because it's like, it doesn't matter. Going to punch in at a 9 to 5 and if you don't own the fucking company, where are you going to get? Unless it's certain things and you need experience, whatever the hell, go for it, 100%. But it's like, what the fuck? I'm going to go work for somebody else for my whole life and then, you know, have potlucks and a mild retirement if you have one. And then have, 10, 15 years before I get unhealthy as shit and get old and crippled and shit my pants in a diaper and be put in a home? Yeah, because that makes sense, because that's life. You know, make it so that you're under fluorescent lights all the time, how you don't touch grass. Oh, let's also make sure that we scare them about dirt and about meat and about healthy fats and proteins. Let's make sure that, and then when they get on the protein kick, because there's a whole protein fad, let's give them all these processed proteins and still let them know that red meat's bad for you. It's crazy. It's all calculated. It's all fucked up. It's just disgusting. And I hate the fucking world that we live in. And it all started with them damn rules that I was talking about earlier. But yeah, that's what I think about. That's what I think is crazy. I hate that it's all such a calculated fucking system. It's evil. It's gross. It's sinister. It is vindictive. And it preys on everybody. And it's fucked up. And I hate it. So, and I'm a weirdo. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm a fucking weird kind of conservative half black chick. I'm 24 dating a 36-year-old. So it's like, call me whatever you want. I'm sure that I sound bizarre, but this is all shit that I just truly believe and truly think, and I'm here to share it and share my growth and my thoughts, my presence, my everything, I guess, in a way. Not everything, but yeah, my thoughts on what's going on in the world. And I want to try and get more into like some news topics, even though I don't watch the news because I don't really give a fuck, because I can't control anything, so it doesn't really matter. But try and do a little bit of a revamp with the channel. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this little, you know, rant on society and my opinions on shit and my little disclaimer or update on the channel. And I think there's some fun things to come. And I promise to get Kyle on the next one. I know that I was asked to have Kyle on the last one, but I'll try and get him on the next one. And I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I hope that you stay safe. And right now it is the weekend before the weekend of 4th of July. So I hope that you guys have a good, safe, happy 4th of July. See some good fireworks. Have some beers for me, because y'all know I ain't gonna do it. And yeah, take care. God bless. Bye.